Hello, friends. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the annual Defiant Art Thrifty Apprentice Cheap Art Challenge. So, this is what you may think of when you hear the phrase cheap art. But I'm here to tell you, friends, cheap art and budget art are not that much difference. So instead of using what you normally see me use for this particular challenge, I'm going to be using this. So let's get started. Hey there, art lovers. For this year's cheap art challenge, instead of going with what you may normally think of when you hear someone say cheap art products, I've opted to go with what one might consider a budget set of 48 colors, and this is a paint box. I did notice upon initial inspection that this set had absolutely no branding on the actual packaging itself. Now there's a sticker in the bottom corner that tells you a bit of information about it, but I did have to grab my phone and do an Amazon lens search in order to discover the Emoki watercolor paint set, 48 colors including 6 metallic colors in a portable paint box. Travel watercolor set with watercolor paper and brushes. A watercolor kit for beginner art artists. And I am going to open this, view its contents with you so that we can decide whether or not this will qualify for the cheap art challenge. Let's go. I think it's important to note that this video is not meant to serve as a review of any product, nor is it meant to endorse any brand of any medium or type. Instead, this video is simply meant to guide you and encourage you to paint and have fun so that you may experience the feelings of love or joy or both as you create and grow to become a better painter. So with the contents of watercolor paper, and let's see how many sheets we have here. It's quite a few. If I had to say, it's at least 20 sheets in there. And that feels very reminiscent of the watercolor paper that comes in the Sioux Color watercolor pad. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's about the same, as well as the paper that comes in the Viva Art watercolor pad. There is a number 8 filbert. Seems to be a standard manufactured brush. A bristle seem okay. We'll have to test it out. There are 2 water brushes, a regular round, as well as a heavy, or should I say a large flat, large barreled flat. That's probably about a number 6 or a number 8. Swatch card, which seems to be made of actually cardstock. I don't think that is a mixed media or watercolor paper. And then of course a palette that has 48 half pans of color, metallics included. And all of that for the very robust price of $18.99. I would have to say that probably qualifies under the cheap art category. So let's jump into swatching them out because I need to know what I'm painting with before I paint with them. And then we'll go into creating something absolutely joyous and amazing with them today and introduce the rules for our cheap art challenge. finally, friends, we land on painting. Of course, I had to actually show you that regardless of the product, there is always a way to produce and create. Even more so, I wanted to show you that regardless of your supplies, as long as you set out to create with the goal of enjoying yourself, then your supplies really do not matter. Most people, I have discovered, create for the joy of simply creating because they are looking for a release from the crazy world around them, because it brings them happiness to create for themselves or even for those that they love. Now, don't get me wrong, friends. I am not saying that quality does not matter. What I am saying is that it doesn't matter unless you need and or want it to. Many artists will drive home that budget supplies simply won't get the job done. However, we have seen from the mass market of art supplies available that just simply isn't the case anymore. Although I myself am a stickler and a lover of all things technical about mediums, from pigment numbers to light fast ratings, transparency ratings, whether it granulates, and the joy that comes along with super high quality products, I also realize that for some people, that stuff simply doesn't matter. There are uncountable artists around the world who create simply for the joys of creating. With all of that said, this challenge was started to promote the not worry about the rules and the technicalities, but instead to grab whatever you see, grab whatever you want, grab whatever you have, grab whatever you can afford, and create with it, and to enjoy and trust the process as you do. Now, I know that by now you have all realized that this video was not meant as a tutorial of any type, but instead as an introduction to an annual day when I say let's throw all the rules out of the window and just enjoy art. The positivity that it brings, the connections that it allows us to make, the positive moods it can endorse and promote. So, my friends, I invite you to sit back and enjoy taking just a few minutes to possibly enjoy seeing me create with what one might consider cheap art supplies. I even invite you to rewatch the demo section. Use the video player settings to slow the video down. Give this a try if you would like. If not, just grab your supplies and create whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. I will meet you all after the demo to drop all of the details on entering this year's Thrifty Cheap Art Challenge, if that is something that interests you. And this, my friends, is where we land. Hopefully, you have enjoyed coming along on this journey with me as I've used really budget or cheap, if that's what you would like to call them, art supplies in order to create whatever I wanted, and I had fun doing it. And so now I think it's time I tell you about the rules to this cheap art challenge. It's pretty straightforward. My friends, I want you to take whatever is considered economical or budget or cheap to you and create whatever your heart desires. Use any medium you want and make it any size you want. Afterwards, simply post a picture of your creation in the channel's Facebook group, Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers, using the hashtag Thrifty Cheap Art Challenge 24. You'll find a link for that Facebook group in the video description. It's that simple. One winner will be chosen randomly and awarded with the Mangio Professional Watercolor Kit that includes 12 half pans of paint, 20 sheets of A6 Fabriano watercolor paper, and 4 water brushes. You will have until Friday, September 13th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time to get your entries in. Winner will be announced in the following Wednesday's video release. Oh, and by the way, feel free to enter as many times as your heart desires. So good luck, my friends, and remember, as I always encourage you to do, just keep creating.